What is up, my Nakama? So my name is Daniel and I'm a first year medical student, and in this video I'm going to talk about how to increase your Anki speed and efficiency. So I've been in medical school for about 6 months now, and during the first few months that I was using Anki, I was relatively new to the program and I was just getting used to it, and I was averaging about 200 to 400 cards per hour. And now, after being in school for 6 months and getting used to Anki and my medical school curriculum, I average about 600 to 800 cards per hour. And this is a huge increase in my opinion. I've essentially doubled my Anki speed, and the amazing part is I still have the same memory retention. So even though I'm doing Anki a lot faster, it's not like I've sacrificed any of the memory and retention that goes along with using the program. So I wanted to make this video for those of you that feel like you might be doing Anki too slow, or you're just interested in increasing your speed in order to save time. And basically, I'm going to give you guys 5 exact things that I did over the course of these last 6 months that have produced significant results for myself and have basically enabled me to complete this many of cards per hour. And so beginning with tip number 1, and that is with this little boy, your phone. So yes, your phone is a distraction, but what I like to use my phone for is something called Pomodoro studying. Basically, what Pomodoro studying is I divide my studying into 25-minute intervals with 5-minute rest breaks. And basically, I'm really focused, I'm really productive during 25 minutes, and then during the 5 minutes, I step away from whatever I'm doing, which in this case would be Anki, and I just take a complete break, I reset, and then once 5 minutes go by, I then do another 25 minutes. And this is kind of called a Pomodoro interval, one 25-minute study session followed by a 5-minute break. And I'll usually do about 4 of these Pomodoro intervals in a row before taking a longer 20-minute break, because you can't just constantly do 25 minutes on and 5 minutes off, or else you'll kind of burn out. And I found that this is really helpful in increasing my Anki speed and efficiency, because for those 25 minutes, I'm not checking my phone, I'm not browsing social media, I'm just extremely productive and only focused on the task at hand. So I do use a specific app for Pomodoro timing on my phone, and what this app is called, it's called Forest. Here's what it looks like. So basically what Forest is it's kind of like internally built Pomodoro timer on your phone. And what it does is, so let's say, so you can change your interval. You don't have to do 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, but I've found that to be the best interval for me. Because if I do more than 25 minutes, I feel like my productivity goes a little down, or my memory retention sort of decreases. But 25 minutes is kind of like the sweet spot of studying for me. So let's say I wanted to start a Pomodoro session. I'll hit plant here, and boom, a tree gets planted. And what happens though is so I can turn off my phone actually, but if I leave this app for any reason, so let's say I leave this app, what's gonna happen, and let's say I start checking my mail or something, I get this notification that says my forest is dying. So, oh no, I get scared. So I just prevented it from dying. But if I stay too long off the app, so, all right, there we go. I got the notification again. And if I stay too long off the app, the little tree, the little awesome little tree I planted is gonna die. And it's just so sad when you let it die. You just don't want it to let it die. And basically this app is just a way of keeping you in check, and basically limiting your social media and other activity on your phone, because your phone is a huge distraction when studying. And a lot of people, they might be doing Anki cards, like checking their Instagram, browsing YouTube, and this is obviously going to slow down your Anki pace, and you might not even know that you're doing it. It might just be kind of subconscious, you're just checking your phone. But I think this app kind of really keeps me in check, because here we go, as you can see, oh no, my tree died. So you can reset and try and plant again. And I've studied and concentrated so long that I unlocked this version of a tree, which is a sakura tree. So you can like unlock some special trees and stuff. Now, for tip number 2, I would recommend to learn the material extremely well before even approaching Anki. So one of the mistakes I made when I first started medical school and using the Anki software is I wouldn't really have a good grasp of the material I was learning. For example, if we covered the anatomy of the heart, I would just begin by unsuspending those Anki cards and doing them. But I found that if I really sit down and learn the material, draw the diagrams, or go over some textbooks or third-party resources, and kind of extensively go over them so that I have at least a pretty good foundation, then when I go into the Anki decks, I get the cards right away. Because, if you don't really know the material well, you're gonna be doing cards over and over again. And when you see a card that's kind of vague, you're gonna sit there and let the time run and think about it for long. But if you start off with a good foundation, if you've learned the material really well, then your first pass of the cards is gonna go really fast. And this is something that I started doing a few months ago, and I've noticed that my speed increases dramatically, because usually what slows you down is those very new cards that you first unsuspend, and you spend a lot of time thinking about what the right answer is. And maybe it's just because you haven't prepared well enough before going into the Anki cards. All right, now tip number 3 might be a little controversial, but it's worked wonders for me. And what it is to have a dedicated time and place for Anki. So let me start off by saying that I only have Anki on my school laptop. This is the only device that I do Anki on. I don't have it on my phone, I don't have it on my iPad. And I do see a lot of people, they say they're at the grocery store, they're at the dentist's office, and they're like, okay, I'm gonna get a few cards and I'll pop up my phone, do my Anki on my phone. But I find that if you're distracted or if you're not in a really sort of quiet environment, then obviously your speed is gonna be real slow and it's gonna take you longer to do cards. If you're at a grocery store shopping for food and at the same time you're trying to do Anki on your phone because you think that's productive, I think that's actually counterproductive. So for me, I dedicate my mornings to completing my cards, and I dedicate either this space that you see behind me, or if there's some lectures I want to attend or whatnot, I'll go to school and do my Anki. But the very first thing in the morning I do is I have a dedicated schedule and place for Anki, and it's the very first thing I do. And it's kind of good to get the cards out of the way first thing in the morning, because if you let it drag on throughout the day, I think your speed and efficiency in doing those cards is also gonna slightly decrease. For example, if it's like midnight and you left all your reviews till that late, then obviously you're probably not gonna perform as well as if you were up and ready in the morning, ready to go, ready to be productive. And I do know some people like having Anki on other devices because, one of the cool things about the program is that you can do it anywhere, but I find that this is counterproductive, at least for myself. So I just keep Anki on my school computer, and I just have a devoted time and place of doing Anki. All right, so tip number 4 is pretty straightforward and obvious, but it's to do your Anki every single day and to never miss a day. And I do notice that some people sometimes will miss one day here and there, and over break they might not even do Anki at all, but I actually did my Anki reviews every single day over break. Even on Christmas and on New Year's, I just got up early. Well, no, actually on Christmas, we got back like at midnight and I still did my Anki reviews, which kind of is hypocritical of what I just said, but that was an exception. It was because it was Christmas and I didn't want to wake up in the morning and my first present be a good dose of bacteria and virology. But anyways, by doing your reviews every single day, this is basically a form of practice. You do it over and over again, you use the program over and over again, and you get used to recalling information and retrieving information from your mind. And eventually you'll become faster at this. And especially as the spaced repetition kicks in and you've seen a card over and over again, you'll just get even faster at answering it. And hopefully this will in turn increase your speed in doing the flashcards. Okay, so the last tip number 5, is more of a psychological one, but basically, let's say that this morning I had 700 cards to review. I would give myself 2 25-minute Pomodoro intervals to do those 700 cards in. And basically, I would challenge and restrict myself to completing that many cards in that time interval. And I kind of hype myself up before I do this. I tell myself, I'm gonna do it no matter what. I'm gonna get all 700 cards done within these 2 25-minute intervals. And generally, I actually do the task. And the way I really implemented this gradually was when I was doing 200 to 400 cards per hour. And let's say I had a review day with 450 cards, I would tell myself, because I've done 400 cards per hour at least once, I think I can do 450 the next time I do it. And then eventually that led to 500, 550, and so on until I was doing 700, 800 cards per hour. And actually, I've kind of capped out at 800 cards per hour. I don't think I could go any faster than that because, I mean, at some point, like if you do 1 card a second, like that is probably the maximum you can do because you need to at least like read the card, you know. But yeah, about 600 to 800 cards is probably my max, and I think that's a really great speed actually to do Anki at. It's super fast and efficient, and nowadays just doing my reviews hopefully takes only an hour a day. Yeah, so overall the great thing about doing cards this fast and efficiently is that it frees up more time in the day to actually study and absorb the material. And you know, this is really the time that I cherish and the time that I actually learn all the necessary material in medical school, because I don't want to spend too much time on Anki, and I treat Anki just as a memory tool and not really as a learning tool. You know, I do my learning separately. So being able to do cards efficiently and fast has saved me a lot of time so that, you know, I can do other things, so that I have more time to work out, so that I have more time to study and consolidate the material that's been taught to us throughout the entire week. But yeah, so those are my, you know, 5 tips that I kind of started and learned gradually. And I pretty much do these 5 tips every day when I do Anki, and they've really helped me increase my speed and efficiency, and hopefully they can help you too. And you know, if you have any questions about these tips I offered, or you would like to know more about Anki and how I use it in medical school, just feel free to leave a comment below. And as always, Dattebayo.